Hey guys, welcome to another fantasy video. Round one now done and dusted in the books, and yeah, what a tough opening round to the fantasy season that was. Plenty of popular picks went down with either concussion or injury, and it was just very chaotic. And I think to do well this week, you definitely needed a bit of luck on your side. And I think also this week, for those who avoided paying top dollar for those big premiums, like we saw Rory Laird fail and all that, and looked for the value, I think did really well this week, and plenty of those popular mid-price picks did really well. So I think if you nailed those picks, you should have done pretty well this week. And yeah, very chaotic round as I mentioned. Even I made a massive change to my team mid-round, which we'll get to shortly. But yeah, to start off with, I'll just do a quick review of my team. So I scored 2092 to kick off the season, which I was pretty happy with. It has me at an overall ranking of 5,250th, which I think is a nice ranking to have at this time of year. Obviously, it doesn't really matter early on after round one. Every team is pretty even at this point, but yeah, pretty happy with that. Positioned my team nicely. So here's a review of my team here. Starting in defence, I went with two big premiums and Angus Brayshaw and James Sicily in defence, and I was pretty happy with them. Angus Brayshaw, would have liked to see him turn up, but I'm happy with that pick. I was very keen on him. And James Sicily, he was awesome. I was watching that Hawks Bombers game, and he was just getting plus sixes everywhere. It was glorious to watch. And yeah, I'm very keen on him this year. The Hawks are going to struggle. The ball's going to be down on back, down in their defensive half for a lot, and yeah, he's the general down there. So if you don't have James Sicily, I'd definitely be looking to get him in the next couple of weeks. I think he's going to be a top 6 defender, maybe top 3 defender. So great pick. Very happy with Sis. And then Andy McGrath there, was a little bit disappointed with him. 81, it's not too bad of a score, but considering there was mid prices like Will Day in that area, which I could have saved almost 200k on. So look, not too sure what to do with McGrath. I'll probably stick with him, give him another couple of weeks. But yeah, I'd like to see him push that 95 to 100 mark to be satisfied with him. And then Charlie Constable, 87. He was very good. He knows how to find the footy. Charlie Constable, he's never been an issue for him, but the only worry I have with him is just his job security. He's just got to perform well week in, week out. The Suns have a lot of injuries down in their back half, their defence, and I think a lot of them are due back. Guys like Lockie Weller and stuff. So he's got to continue playing well. And then we round out with the two rookies there, Ruben Jinby and Lockie Cowan. Jinby was fantastic on the weekend. He's just like a bull around that midfield, and he's going to be great for us. And then Lockie Cowan, he wasn't great, and that's kind of my concern in my defence here. As you can see, Lockie Cowan, my bench, Darcy Wilmot and Campbell Chesser, those guys didn't perform well at all, and that's a worry for me, having to field one of those guys each week. So that could be something I look at doing there, fixing up in my trades this week. To the midfield now, Bailey Smith and Marcus Bonampelli were the two Dogs premiums that I went with there. I was very keen on them. I love picking Bulldogs players, as they've always had a great fantasy game about them. They play great fantasy footy, and yeah, a little underwhelming to be honest. Would have expected at least a ton from both of them, Smith 96 and Bont 99. But I think frustrating start, but I'm still happy with the picks. The Bulldogs boys are going to share the ball around. Each different week there's going to be a different guy that turns up, I think. So they'll be fine, I think. But yeah, a little underwhelming to start off with. And then LDU M3 was very keen on LDU. Had a good matchup first up, and he did really well against the Eagles. Didn't take too many marks, which kind of wasn't ideal. Could have scored a 120 maybe, but yeah, very happy with him, and he's off to a good start. And I think he has the potential to be a top 8 mid. Does Luke Davies Uni at? Then I have my mid-price picks in Warple and Callaghan now. Look, Warple was great. He was fantastic playing as that inside mid, and he looks to be back to his kind of form of 2-3 years ago when he kind of burst onto the scene. So hopefully he can keep that up and make a lot of coin for me. Then Finn Callaghan, 83. He scored pretty well. Happy with the score, but just his role stuck on a wing. That was the concern for me. So a little bit worried about Callaghan. He really saved his score in the end, junking up, taking those plus sixes. I think he scored around 20 points the last 5 minutes or so. So thankfully he scored well there by doing that. But yeah, just stuck on a wing. Who knows? The Giants had a few injuries on the weekend, so especially to Josh Kelly and that, so he'll be out next week. So maybe he can go inside mid. So I'll keep him for this week, but yeah, I would look to trade him out the next couple of weeks after he makes a bit of cash because, yeah, as I mentioned, I just don't like his role at all for fantasy. And then the rookies, Ashcroft, McKenzie, and Hollands. Now, Ashcroft, he was a little bit disappointing, I guess you could say. There's a lot of hype around the kid, but he'll be great for the rest of the season, so I wouldn't worry too much about him, and everyone has him. So 59, we'll take that, I guess. Then Cam McKenzie, he was very good, 75. He knows how to find the footy, and yeah, he's going to be in our sides for a fair chunk of the first half of the season. I think he's going to make heaps of coin for us. Then Ollie Hollands, he was a little bit disappointing in terms of his fantasy scoring. His effort was fantastic. He just kept running up and down the ground on that wing, but yeah, just the ball didn't find him. So it's not a great role for fantasy, as I mentioned before. That wing spot, just yeah, you can never find much of the ball there. So look, a bit annoying, but I'll look to take him off my ground this week, I think. Then to the bench, Filippo and Davey, they were pretty good playing as those small forwards. So I think we're going to got to expect 50s from them each week. So I'll take that from those two this week. Hopefully they can make a bit of coin moving forward. Then to the rucks. Now this is the area which caused me a heap of chaos this week. Now as you can see, I've actually got Tristan Cherry there on the bench who went down in the first quarter of that game against the Eagles. And I saw him went down. I was panicking. I was like, oh no, made a massive mistake. But then I realised that yeah, I had him on the bench at R3, using him as that loophole option to take Tim Taranto's score, who was my vice captain on Thursday night. So I got very lucky there, and then I ended up cutting one of my midfield premiums on Saturday afternoon and brought in Jared Witts there. So huge amount of luck went my way there. I definitely got kissed, as I mentioned on my Twitter account. Very lucky there with Witts, and he just dominated going against the undermanned Swans ruck lineup, going against Peter Laddams, and plenty of hit-outs, plenty of the ball. He was fantastic, and hopefully Witts is in for a big year. Marshall, he was a little bit disappointing as that solo ruck. There was a lot of talk during the week that Tom Campbell was going to come in. He didn't come in, but still didn't help Marshall in the end. He was disappointing, but I think most people own him, so back him in to bounce back in the coming weeks, Marshall. And there, Cherry on the bench, 587k it was on the bench, so I think I did pretty well in the end to score as well as I did this week with that amount of money on my bench. So I'll have to fix Tristan Cherry up this week, unfortunately. A lot of tough luck for the big fella. Hopefully he recovers from that ankle injury, I think it was, moving forward, as he looked really good early in the game too. And lastly, onto the forwards. Dunkley, he was very underwhelming to start the season. I think a lot of people captained him, which was very unfortunate for those people there. You would have expected a lot more, at least a ton for Dunkley, but I have noticed in the past few years that he does seem to struggle at the Adelaide Oval. I think there's something around about that with Dunkley. He just never performed well there for whatever reason, but I think he'll bounce back in a big way this week against the D's at the Gabba. Looking to put the VC on him this week, or captain. Very keen on him to bounce back. And then Taranto, he set off the round for me, put the vice captain on him and scored a 123. He was awesome for the Tigers, and yeah, they don't have too much depth in the midfield, so playing as that inside mid, he'll be great week in, week out. A terrific captain option moving forward. Then we had Rosie, he was alright, 95. Would have liked a ton, but yeah, can't get too greedy. Greedy from him there, he was great. And then, yeah, Errol Goulden, 99, which was fantastic. He did go off with a little bit of a calf concern, I think it was. I didn't see the game, but from all reports, he kind of had a little calf issue, but he came onto the ground, finished the match off. So something to keep an eye on there. Hopefully he's all right. And then we have Tanner Bruin as that mid-price pick at F5. Now, he played a pretty good game, actually. The first half he really dominated, playing as that inside midfielder. And just the second half, he kind of got pushed out to a wing. Once Brandon Parfitt came on as the medi sub, he kind of took his midfield minutes. Now, yeah, that was a little bit annoying for fantasy, but yeah, some of the takes that I've seen blaming Chris Scott for that was just ridiculous, really. Like, premiership midfield, you can't expect Bruin to attend every single bounce or attend every midfield stoppage there. He's not going to be the first choice in a midfield containing of Guthrie, Atkins, Dangerfield. So those blaming Chris Scott for that need to get a bit of a grip. I think it was just a bit hilarious seeing some of the reaction there and questioning his coaching like that cost Geelong a game, which it just didn't. But yeah, Tanner Bruin, the only concern I have with him is his time on ground. I think 60% or so time on ground, so that's a concern for me. And he actually could be someone I look to trade out purely because of that time on ground and the fact that he's just not a first choice mid at the moment at the Cats. And then we round out with Harry Sheezel. Wasn't he fantastic? I was very happy with him considering I took the $15 on offer early this week for Sheezel to win the Rising Star. And he looked electric, played off half back, got up the ground. He just looks, like he's played 200 games already, and he's going to be at F6 for a while in our side. He's going to make plenty of cash moving forward, so he was fantastic. And then Fergus Green on the bench, can't expect too much from a small forward. 30's not great though. It really impacts his cash generation moving forward, so it could be someone that we kind of look to fix up in these early rounds, I think. And then Miller Bergman to round out my team in the utility division, 46. Not too bad, I guess, from a defender. Hopefully he holds his spot. So now I'll talk through what my very early trade plans are at this stage for round 2. Now, as I mentioned during the video, obviously I have Tristan Sherry, which I definitely have to fix up this week. So what I'm looking to do with him is just cash him in, downgrade him to the one rookie that I really missed out on this week in Cage Chandler. Now, wasn't he great? Tonned up as a small forward, and he's a must-have now. He's going to have a low break-even, going to make heaps of cash. So anyone like myself who missed out on Cage Chandler this week, definitely a must bring him in this week. And then as for the second trade, that's a little bit up in the air at the moment. There's plenty of different options that I could have a look at, but at the moment I've traded out Tanner Bruin. Just as I mentioned during the video, that time on ground is a little bit of concern to me. Geelong love to manage their midfielders throughout the game, not overtax them. You'd see that a lot of Geelong midfielders have low time on ground. So with that in mind, I think his ceiling's around 70, Tanner Bruin, so that's a little bit of concern. So at this stage, I'm trading him to someone like Jack Ziebell now. He wasn't really on my radar before round 1, but he performed really well playing as that defender down back for North Melbourne. The role that he had 2 years ago in 2021 where he actually averaged 100. So look, if he keeps that role, I see no reason why he can't push that mark again. Maybe not 100, but at least 90 to 95. So at 572k, I think he's a great pick, going to make plenty of cash, and he'll also get defender status come round 6, so I think is crucial as we got guys like Constable, Lockie Cow and Wilmot Chesser. Those guys will have to move on, so I think if we can grab Ziebell now, knowing that he'll get that defender status, I think that could be really help moving forward. So in doing that, I still have heaps of cash in the bank, keeping my powder dry there with 228k. I think I could look for someone like Tom Green, Will Setterfield, pay up a little bit more instead of Ziebell, but I think I'll just keep that cash in the bank for now, as I'm a little bit worried about the rookies and the cash generation moving forward. So if I can keep my powder dry at this stage, I think that will benefit me a lot moving forward. Now, as of some other trade targets this week that a lot of people should be looking at, I've listed them here, and Tom Green, Will Setterfield and Will Day. Now, they were 3 mid-price picks who paid off this week. Tom Green maybe not so mid-price, but he was fantastic, and he was someone that I wasn't too keen on just because of his lack of outside game, but he actually looked really good. He looked a completely different player to what he did last year. I actually owned him last year, and he took a lot more marks this time. And yeah, obviously in that Giants midfield, he's going to get plenty of the ball now. So I think he's a great pick. Getting a little bit pricey now. Yeah, I'm not too sure if I'm going to look to make that early upgrade yet, because I think if I'm going to look to bring in Tom Green, I want him to be a top 8 mid. So look, great pick for all those who started with him. Still a good option. Then we got Will Setterfield. He was amazing. Attended plenty of centre bounces. Great role. So he should be good. And then Will Day in defence. He was fantastic. 98 on the weekend. Still very cheap at 564k. So he's another great option. And yeah, I could look to bring him in. Him or Ziebell probably are the most likely candidates for me this week. So there's some trade targets this week. As for some captains that I like this week, Carlton Geelong play on that Thursday night. I actually don't own any Blues or Cats, so I won't be using my vice captain that day, that night. But I think Sam Doherty, a popular pick for most people. You should put the vice captain on Doherty to start it, and then Dunkley and Taranto, two players I'm pretty high on as captain options this week. Dunkley against the Lions, expecting to bounce back at the Gabba, and Tim Taranto, the Tigers playing again this week. They're playing Adelaide at Adelaide Oval, that's right. So I think that's a good matchup for Timmy Taranto. So they're the two options that I like as captain, the options for round 2. So that's all for today's video, guys. Thanks again for watching, and it'd be much appreciated if you'd like, comment, subscribe. It's much appreciated, any support. So yeah, that's all for the video. See you guys next week.